Welcome to this training on social entrepreneurship in the frame of the ASIS project. We are happy to introduce Christina Notz from the Social Entrepreneurship Academy in Munich. The Academy is a network organization of universities in Munich and offers a wide range of programs in social entrepreneurship education, including a certificate program, workshops, and also university seminars under the mission of education for societal change. As executive director at SEA, Christina has long year experience in social entrepreneurship and holds particular expertise in building and extending networks of social entrepreneurship. I will now pass the word to Christina, who will give us insights on the business opportunities and specific needs of social entrepreneurship. So Christina, what is characteristic of social entrepreneurship and what business opportunities does social innovation hold?
Yes, thank you very much, Jacqueline, and I'm delighted to be here to share some expertise with you. So the main characteristics of social entrepreneurship, I would say, is that a societal problem, an environmental problem, is not seen as a problem, but rather as an opportunity. So instead of feeling kind of passive and not being able to solve a challenge, a social entrepreneur would see the opportunity and the drive and the proactiveness in it and take on an attitude to be creative, to be innovative, to get that problem solved, or at least change little things within a bigger, complex, problematic situation to make things better in a way to improve lives of people or avoid problems as well. So there's a curative approach to rather solve the problem, and as well a preventive approach to avoid that something bad is going to happen in the future. So the problem is more seen as an opportunity. This is one characteristic. A second one is that people are really driven by that mission. They are driven by the problem in a way as well. Having said that, they are really keen on finding long-term solutions and activating their network and ecosystem and doing everything to convince people and business and administration to really tackle that societal problem. And very often, as the beneficiaries who benefit from the activity of the social entrepreneurs are not able to pay for it, or if it's the environment, you cannot ask the environment for money, if you want to say so, then they come up with innovation. They come up with innovative business or revenue models in order to finance their activity to actually create the societal impact they want to achieve. So I would say these are the three main aspects. Besides that, social entrepreneurs are very similar to conventional entrepreneurs, if you want to say so. But this mission-driven person and as well the innovation in the business model is something very particular for social entrepreneurs. So as I said, many things are similar in entrepreneurship, but there's one thing that is a huge difference, and that's a challenge, which is time. So for a social entrepreneur, usually everything takes a bit longer because as there is societal impact involved, you have to come up with a theory of change. This is something really long-term. You have to figure out how you're going to create the impact and then how to measure it. This is something that takes time. You don't just have to set up a business model that works and then start selling your service or product, but as it is linked to the impact you want to create, to the innovation, it takes more time. And then it's a bit more complicated, so it takes more time to explain to others as well. For example, those who are potentially funding your startup, or who are investors, or even the people who should buy your service. You have to explain more and better who you are as a social entrepreneur. It is a common concept now, but not as common as you might wish. So it takes more time to explain and then to convince people. And as well, it is a lot of trial and error, because as I said before as well, as the beneficiaries often cannot pay for your product or your service, you need to come up with an innovative business model and you have to test it. And it's a process. So yeah, it takes more time. So this is one of the main differences and one of the main challenges. Of course, when it comes to funding, it is a particular situation as well, because very often the classical KPIs of funders don't apply, because as you're mainly driven by creating the social impact rather than making profit or increasing profits, the KPIs and the key measurement tools are a little bit different, and the way of thinking you are different. So it takes time to align this, but as well to find the right people who support you. It needs more communication in terms of it needs a different communication. It needs additional communication, because you have to communicate what is actually your impact, what you want to achieve for society, what you want to change. It's not just about communicating your product or your service. You have to do this, of course, and explain well, but in addition, you have to explain why are you doing it? What is the ultimate goal or the ultimate purpose of it? And that needs more communication, but as well a specific communication on what is my impact. And entrepreneurs always need to be good persons in pitching, and they need pitch trainings. But when it comes to the pitch training, they need a specific training or focus on how to communicate my impact. Yes, I would add that coming back to financing, it is really important to figure out how much money you need, when do you need it, for what, and from whom. This sounds really an easy one, but it's actually a pretty difficult one. Usually social entrepreneurs come and say, I need a lot of money right at the beginning. And from our work, we experience that actually when you dive deeper into it, you realize you need some money at the beginning, but you need more money in the second year or in the third year. And so far, it might be more important to build a network, to create your own ecosystem that supports you on a non-financial level as well. So building your ecosystem, creating your network, and then making use of it in a clever way is definitely a success factor for all entrepreneurs, but in particular for social entrepreneurs, as there's not that much money around in that scene as compared to classical venture capitalism, for example. We always say, talk about your idea as much as you can. Sometimes people with great ideas are reluctant because they are afraid of someone might steal the idea, but you have to have in mind, if it's your own idea, you're the master of it, and you are always one step ahead of someone else who would copy you. Talk about your idea, be enthusiastic about it, share your passion, and you will find the people who either buy into your idea or they buy into your passion as a person and will follow you and support you because they are inspired by you as a person. Or both, of course. The main question is, how can I connect my impact model in a smart way with my business model, or with a business model that works? Talking about impact model is again starting with the theory of change. What on the long run do I really want to change in the world, in society? But as well, then what are my concrete steps to get there? And usually you get you do it upside down. So you start with a long term, and then you come down to the concrete first step and second step and so on. So that is really important to figure out first, because this is my main goal as well, and then connect it to something that brings the money in. A business model or revenue model that really can be sustainable and can support me, my team, my activities on on a longer perspective. And again, this is where the innovation comes in, and the time question of how quickly am I successful to connect those two things to bring it together. Okay. And usually the support goes more to the business model because that's the easier one. Mm-hmm. But you have to figure out both things to make it successful on the long run. Of course, you start with one thing and then it's this and that, and you connect it and see how it works and test and fail and prototype and reevaluate. But you have to focus on the both aspects and not just say, oh, I'm impact driven and I have this idea, and then you only go for the business part. I would ask the question of how, if you have a social mission that drives you, how would you make sure that it can sustain on the long run, even if you as a person are not active in that field or you're not around anymore, for the organization as well. So this is really about the long-term sustainability of an activity. And usually this can only continue if you have a business model or a revenue model that works. So that's one perspective to approach it. And the other question I would ask is, if you look around and ask successful business people and entrepreneurs, be it in startups or in big corporations, if you ask them about what does really matter to you, why are you doing this? The people in the ultimate, to the end, they will never say, I'm doing this for the sake of money only. People have a personal mission. They have some social cause, something that bothers them or that matters. And that's why they are doing this. And they want to improve something or bring up a new thing or whatever it might be. That's different for everyone. But every person has something like this. And the question is just on the approach now. How do you fulfill or enrich this purpose you have? And some are choosing the entrepreneurial way. Others doing this on a voluntary basis in their spare time on the weekends or not continuously, but to really solve a problem that matters to you on the long run. It is possible to combine both things. And there are many, many best practices out there on a local level, on a global level that would support that idea. And it is not an easy one, and it's definitely in a niche, but it has been around for a long time. Okay. So, for example, Maria Montessori or Friedrich Reifeisen, these are examples from 100 years ago and even longer that today we would call them kind of social entrepreneurs. Okay. So it's not a new concept in a way.